for me, I've got two sons. I've got a 14-year-old, I've got an 8-year-old. Both children are from different relationships, and I'm with neither mum.
My wife, we're married. We just welcomed a child 9 months ago, our son.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I've got 2 kids.
Okay.
I've got a daughter, Callie, she's 7. And I've got a son, Chase, he's 3 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm still with my partner. And yeah, I've been with her for like 15 years. So
Okay.
everything that we do is like 50-50.
All right, guys, wait, hold up. So we looked at the analytics, and apparently 25% of you who watch this podcast are not subscribed. Now, that doesn't make sense, because if you're watching this podcast, then you clearly like it and you clearly want more. So the best way to get more is to subscribe. And guess what? Even do another thing, subscribe. Hit that little bell button and put the notifications on. So when we post this exquisite content, right, you'll get it directly in your notifications. So subscribe right now. Thank you.
All right, so we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Goodman Factory podcast. I'm your first-time host, not just host, first-time Goodman Aaron. I'm here with 2 special guests. We've got Goodman Chris and Goodman Nick. This is my first time meeting you boys, yeah? So just kind of tell me a bit about you. Like, let's just go around the room. Just kind of introduce yourself to our followers.
So I'm co-founder of Money Minutes. So we're a media brand that focuses on like sharing stories and informing people about different life choices when it comes to finances. By day, I'm a strategy consultant, ex-banker, and I'll go into a bit more detail in terms of my kind of experience on fatherhood.
Chris?
All right. My name is Chris. I'm the founder of a cold pressed juice company called Coast Juices, and I'm also a videographer.
Cold pressed juices, yeah, so I'm guessing
Yeah,
you're a
cold
healthy
press.
guy.
Yeah, of course.
All right, because I was going to say if you weren't and you're doing something like that.
Nah, come on. All legit.
So we've actually all got something in common, which is why we're here today. We're here to discuss the topic of fatherhood, right? And I think one of the main reasons we've decided to do this today is because Father's Day is approaching. Now, I kind of always feel that Father's Day isn't as popularized as Mother's Day. So I just want to ask straight away, do you know when Father's Day is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say June 26th.
That's just a throw in the dark. You know?
Yeah.
Well, what makes you think that though?
Because I know it's near my sister's birthday, which is June the 29th, and it's before it. I'm gonna say June 26th or 24th.
I know it's in June, but I don't know the exact day.
But see what I'm saying? This to me, this is the thing that even as fathers, we're not really aware of the day. But Mother's Day, I feel like we've always got that in our mind, or we know it's like, we're kind of just more aware when it's coming, like almost like it's more important. But in case you guys don't know, it's June 19th.
Oh, right.
But just touching on that, why do you feel that Father's Day isn't as popularized as Mother's Day?
Why? I don't know. I just think with how it is in the media.
Yeah.
And like even when you go into supermarkets, way before Mother's Day, you'll see it. But when it comes to Father's Day, way before Father's Day, you don't really see it or hear about it. But then I think that's also just because of how it is in terms of parenting. Not that fathers are less of a parent, but I feel like with mothers, I don't know, I just feel like they're looked at as more, they have more of an importance, for example.
In terms of the parenting, I guess, relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I think my wife said something when I told her, like, oh, when it's Father's Day, I said, why is that even important? she said it as a passing joke, but I do get why there's a stronger emphasis on the woman versus the man, because I think someone showed me like a diagram. When you think of a mother, she's the person that kind of puts the books together, like finances, make sure the household is in good shape. Even when you ask certain details about my son, I don't know the nth degree of detail. And
but the mom knows.
The mom knows that. So it's like, I feel that's why they should be celebrated, upheld more in society. So I think that's the reason when you look at the dynamics, because she said something to me. We were watching a show on Netflix. She said that she doesn't see the value of a stay-at-home dad. That when you come down to the wire, like maybe it's like doing the meals or like stuff, it's the woman that's still gonna have to do certain things. And when she said that, I was like, but then some things happened in the pandemic. I lost my job, etc. And when I look at my like kind of contribution towards the household, and when Grayson came along, there's certain things I could try to do them. I was thinking like, you know what, this isn't sustainable for me to continue doing this. Like she just has the patience and knack for doing that. So I think that's why, I don't know.
I feel like for me, like a father is almost like a thankless job. Like I feel like we don't really get appreciated until the child's older. Like I feel like at that point you hope your child will turn around and say, you know what, Dad, I appreciate everything you've done. But in those younger years, they might not necessarily see the work you're doing. If we look at football, like a football analogy, like I don't know if you guys like football, yeah, but for me, like, do you remember Claude Makélélé for Chelsea, yeah? Like Drogba was the guy running the show, yeah? But if it wasn't for Makélélé, like I don't think Drogba would have been able to shine as much. Like he was just going about his business, behind the scenes, kind of making sure everything was tidy, everything was provided, nothing went through, but Drogba was the one.
That kind of reminds me of Carrick. Like people underplay Carrick. I don't know if anyone's called. I saw Man U. So people used to undervalue.
Stop the podcast. Stop the podcast now. Like.
So people undervalued Carrick. So I see what you mean. Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like the mums are at the forefront. They're doing everything. Do you know what I mean? They're scoring the goals as well. Whereas as a dad, I feel like if you're an active father anyway, you're going to be making sure you're providing, but doing a lot to support the mum in everything she's doing. I feel like we're good supporters of the mum, but the mum has that natural, I mean, they carried the child. So I feel like there's that connection, do you know what I mean? But I think what's interesting is I found this article in I can't remember the name of the newspaper, but it said like the most popular kind of like holidays in the UK. And this is based on spending and card giving. So you have like Christmas, then you had Mother's Day, then you had Easter, and then you had Father's Day. So what do you think about that list? Because we're talking Easter bunnies are more important than dads. So when we're looking at it like that, like more money's getting spent on the East. Like obviously Mother's Day. I don't know. Do you guys go all out for Mother's Day, and then for Father's Day, not really?
I wouldn't say I go. I mean, I would go all out more on Mother's Day than I would for Father's Day. And that's, I mean, I think that just plays to like how women are anyway. They like to like receive gifts. So for example, you wouldn't, if you go like last Mother's Day when I went Morrison's, flowers everywhere. But if I go Morrison's, Father's Day, what is there? Do you know what I mean? So it's easier to get your mum the flowers, get her a box of chocolate.
Not the last minute flowers, though.
No, not the last minute. You need to be there early.
I think we've all been there, yeah.
So, just like doing those things. But with dads, I just feel like it's easier to maybe just call your dad or, do you know what I mean? Not spend as much or put as much thought into it.
No, I feel you. Would you?
Yeah, I like what you said about like being an active dad.
Yeah.
Because this is just speaking from experience and speaking to and learning and just kind of learning how people are or just listening to different female perspectives is not a lot of people are active. And their only form of activation is just the financial part. When there's so much more behind like that dynamic of being parents, you know. And I'll keep on going back to this as an example. I learned, because of course my platform was all about personal finances. To me as a guy, I thought like my active contribution is financial. That's it. And it's like when I lost my job during the pandemic, that ceased. And like I remember like I always ask my wife like, what was I doing when she was doing a few bits and pieces? What was I doing? Because I thought I couldn't add any value to the relationship because I wasn't bringing any money. So it's like, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I feel for some guys, it's like, okay, as long as I'm building the money in, that's fine. I don't really need to get involved in other bits and pieces. But I learned during that period that there's so much more like, okay, even if it's just helping around in the household a bit more, like, okay, doing the bottles, like, don't wait until, as a woman, I tell you to do something before you do it. So because of that, I don't know, sometimes I think if people give me my flowers or say, oh, I just say, okay, cool. But I know there's so much more the woman does, and like just gluing things together. That makes me want to say that I can understand why there's more appreciation towards them. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Were you gonna say something on it?
Now, I want to come back to that. Everything he was touching on there, I'm like, okay, we're gonna really dive into that. Yeah. Just touching on the Father's Day, just to wrap up that actual part. What are some gifts that you've got your dads in the past? What are the common things you tend to get your? Because I feel for me, like, I know my child's mum's probably watching, like, I can't do with any more Lynx sprays. Like, every year, like, I don't even use Lynx, but it's like, every year I'm getting a Lynx spray. And I take it from my son and smile, but I end up giving it to my eldest. But, like, do you guys actually put thought into your gifts to your dads? Or is it a sock and tie?
I try to, based on getting encouragement from my wife. Like, maybe it's like something more personalized. So maybe it's like personalized pajamas, or like it's quite an expensive fragrance. Okay. I try to avoid giving him socks, or like say this makes it seem as if like just an afterthought, because I tend to buy my mum really nice gifts, and I don't want to like, does he value me? That's what goes on in my house, at least.
Yeah. So with me, I'm kind of more practical. I'm not what do I think you like? In terms of like, so like for my dad, for example, he'll do like loads of like DIY stuff, electrics, all of this and that. So I'll get him like a new tool. If I've been out on a job with him and I've seen that he ain't got something, I'll get him that.
Okay.
So it's not a case of I'm just getting you the generic socks and
so you're attentive. You're really paying attention to what's going on.
So I'll get him what I feel like he's missing.
No, I love that. Right now, because we are all fathers, right? I thought it would be good to kind of just go around the room and share our dynamics. Like, for me, I've got two sons. I've got a 14-year-old. I've got an 8-year-old. Both children are from different relationships, and I'm with neither mum. So I'm co-parenting with two separate women, two very different co-parenting relationships, but that's my dynamic. So are you married with your partners? Talk to me.
Eve and I, my wife, we're married. We just welcomed a child 9 months ago, our son.
Congrats.
Thank you. In terms of dynamic, I would say she's very, very hands-on.
Yeah.
And I'll probably say maybe in the last 4 or 5 months, I've tried to become more hands-on, just like getting feedback from her, and from speaking to another father, like, just because, Nick, they may praise you that you're changing the pampers, or you're doing all the like vanity stuff. It's like always, how are you checking up on her? Like, are you like, if you see something hasn't been done, like, take the lead and do it. So like, the example I like to give is like, he needs a certain amount of bottles every night. And so instead of waiting for her to say, oh, Nick, can you just take the initiative to do certain things? Beforehand. Yeah, so that's kind of our dynamic.
How long was you married? How long have you been married for, and how long was you together before you was married?
Literally happened...
Don't mess up now, by the way.
So we've been married since February 2020.
Okay.
And we welcomed Grayson July 2021. So
when did you actually meet? How long?
So we met 2015, August 2015.
Okay, so we're talking 7 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that. Yourself?
So myself, I've got 2 kids.
Okay.
I've got a daughter, Callie, she's 7. And I've got a son, Chase, he's 3 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm still with my partner. And yeah, I've been with her for like 15 years. So everything that we do is like 50-50.
Okay.
As much as I put in, she puts in. So for me, it's been that easy. just everything's been easy.
So we've got three very different, we've got co-parenting, we've got with your partner, we've got married. So three different experiences of, I guess, fatherhood as well.
Yeah.
Now for me, what I want to do is actually go back, right? Because I feel the fathers we are may have come from the fathers we had. Yeah. So growing up, how did you view your dad? Like, what do you remember about your dad and the kind of father he was? I don't mind who goes first.
How do I view my dad? My opinion of my dad has changed over the years. So I always looked up to my mum so much. Like she was, I would say, yeah, she was the breadwinner to some degree. So she had a career, and the career I have today has been strongly influenced by her. And even the woman I've gone for, I'd probably say is like a lot, like very, very strong personality, you know. Whereby my dad was more of an entrepreneur, so he was kind of always hustling in a bit, you know. And because of that, maybe he wasn't around as much. Okay. So I don't know. I guess maybe in the early, like for a good, maybe I'm 30 now. For a good 20 years, I just always thought like. I just never really had that relationship. Like even on my graduation day, I think because I went to night school in Nigeria, he was there and my mum wasn't. And I remember like we got into a little spat, and I said like I wish it was mum that was there and it wasn't you or whatever, because I didn't see that much. I thought everything that I am today because my mum had molded me that way.
Okay.
And then it's kind of, as I went to uni, I developed kind of a stronger bond in terms of that, building that friendship, you know? So I now understand why he was the way it was. Maybe because I think he had us when he was 23, whether it's down to maturity, like not really, not used to that level of responsibility, not necessarily rising to the occasion from my own personal standpoint. And I kind of understand him a bit more. And I guess like, I can now kind of relate to him as a friend or like a brother. That's how I see him. And we have certain conversations, like maybe my mum's like, she's acting a certain type of way. He makes me understand because he's been with her for like 30, 35 years. So that's kind of how it's kind of molded me, that I wanted to be more present and be more hands-on in my marriage or in fatherhood. Yeah.
By you?
So with me, like growing up, obviously I just remember my dad to be very like strict, but always working hard.
Okay.
And I feel like obviously that aspect of growing up through that, there's obviously what I've carried on. But a lot of part of it growing up, it's not like I resented him. Because him and my mum were together, and then they split up. Yeah. I think I was probably about maybe like 8 or something. Not too sure. But yeah, then after he split up, it then changed to sort of like because I've never even spoken about this, so it's kind of just like putting it into the right words.
Yeah.
But for me, one thing that I know that happens a lot is that when a dad leaves the house, the mums then tend to say, "Oh, your dad isn't doing this, he isn't doing that."
Highlighting it more.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why you haven't. So then, I remember like going through secondary school. There was a part where I just kind of hated him, and I remember saying to one of my mates, I love my dad, but I don't like him. I hate him. And that was based off what I was being fed as a child.
Okay.
But like yourself, as now that we've got older, you then get on a level with your dad, and then you get to realize that he wasn't a bad person, and then you relate to him more. But then what I realized is that growing up, it was more of him just like working hard, and why he was working hard. So he wasn't at home. He wasn't away from home and at work because he didn't want to be with us. He was just providing. So, yeah.
Do you feel that you because your dads were behind the scenes, I guess, really, like you said, like weren't really present, or do you feel like you missed out? Do you feel like there's anything you was missing out because of the roles your dads were choosing to play?
I do. With how I am now with my kids,
Yeah.
I feel like for me, for example, when it's like sunny outside or on the way home, we need to go to the park.
Yeah.
We have to. That's something that we have to do. I don't even remember going to the park consistently with my dad. So I wish he did that. I take my daughter gymnastics clubs.
Okay.
I wish my dad did that. But obviously growing up, I don't resent him for doing it.
Yeah.
That's just a lesson that I've learned, and I know how I feel from that. So now that's a good lesson for me. So then I don't pass that feeling onto my child.
What about yourself?
No, he's like literally everything he's saying I can relate to. Like I don't have those like picture perfect movie moments of like it's the dad helping the son like ride the bike. I remember like my memory of riding a bike, even though my mum wasn't there, but she was watching from afar. I can't remember where my dad was. So like it's like you're right, I don't resent him for that, but I just felt like because of that, when you're fed that narrative from what you see on TV, if you don't have that like those like I don't know happy go family narratives, like you think maybe there's something there or something wrong. So it's like making a conscious effort to not be like that. But at the same time, I got reminded more recently that it's so hard to kind of that providing spectrum can now make you not be there sometimes.
Okay.
On the basis that, I was going to miss his first swimming lesson because I was trying to do work. And then my wife reminded me, like, you have to be there, you know? And because I was thinking to myself, like, is he going to really remember? Or is this, that? But then even just going there for the first time, there was a lot of men were there. Yeah. Either it was just them and their children, or two parents were there together. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. What you're saying, I can relate to.
Yeah, that experience of you going there for the first time when he's swimming, that's not for your son. That's for you to know that you was there and for you to experience that. Later on, when your son starts to understand certain things, those are experiences that you need to be there, for you, but also for him as well. For him to remember that, dad was there. Because obviously he's not going to remember that you was there, you know what I'm saying? But now that you've gone, that's a memory that you're going to hold. You understand?
You know what, for me, like, I was raised by just my mum with my nan, my auntie, in terms of it was very female dominant. My dad wasn't really around. The viewers will know my story, but basically I grew up on an estate with my mum, and on the other end of the estate was my dad and my sister and his partner. And I've got like 3 half sisters, but they don't really claim me as their brother. So basically my dad stepped out on his relationship. I was the result of that step out. So therefore, let's kind of pretend that never happened. So my dad would come and see me, but it was very inconsistent. I remember seeing my dad when I was about 9 and then not seeing him again until I was 16. Very inconsistent, but whenever he would come and see me, he'd kind of like, my mum would never let him in the house because he was so inconsistent. But she was always honest with me and let me know how my dad was. Never stopped me from seeing him, but it was just, if you're gonna go see your dad, he needs to take you out or go sit in the car with him. And my dad would literally only have like 10 or 20 minutes for me. But he'd always give me a 10 or 20 pounds. And it's interesting what you're saying there, because my dad would compensate. I always felt now, rather than giving me time, he'd give me money. And I think as a father, there's 2 banks you can invest in. You can invest in your child's physical bank with money, or you can invest in their memory bank. Yeah, and that's like, as men now, you can look back and say, I don't have certain memories with my children. Like you said, it's important that we go to the park. It's important that we do things because those are you investing in the memory bank of your child. Because the money that was given, like those 10 or 20, I haven't got them now, do you know what I mean? But I have no memories with my dad, so I can't remember us going to the park, cinema. Even anything that cost free would have been amazing, but I have none of those memories. So I think it's interesting that you said that. In terms of how you are as dads then, do you see similarities? in your father and you now as men, can you see you almost becoming your dad?
Yeah. In terms of like work ethic.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, my dad was always working, and that's how I am. Just always working. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just obviously just for the better of the family. And I know that one thing as well is that when him and my mum did split up, I know that he still wanted the families to be together.
Okay.
Because there was a conversation that me and my dad had, and I know that he wanted the families to be together. So that's a similarity as well. Any problems that like me and my partner might have, that's not something that we ever air out.
Yeah.
But I do my best to keep the family together.
So you're kind of, I guess because of what you've been through as well, if there are problems in your relationship, you know the importance of fixing those problems. Because the family could be on the line. Yeah. For example. And that's because of obviously what you've been through. Yeah. And obviously because of the memories that we've had. Yeah. So at home, I remember obviously like Christmas and how it was that when we was all at the table and the structure of certain things, we had like a big SUV, everyone was in the car. Okay. We used to go like Norfolk Christmas times as a family thing. So, and those memories, they're with me forever now. Yeah. But if there was no strong family unit, there wouldn't be that memory. So I think it's just important to keep a strong family unit. No, I'd agree personally with that. How, when you look at your dad now and you as the man you are, do you feel like I'm resembling him in any way?
If I'm being honest, I feel like I have a tendency to resemble him in not being utterly present. Okay. But then, I don't know, I guess then it's my wife kind of reins me back. Like, okay, Nick, go for that walk with Grayson or take him around, like get some fresh air. Obviously, just for context, it's not easy trying to like balance a full-time job or a side venture, and then on top of that you'll have kids. But at the same time, it's like you make as much time depending on how much you value something. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I always learn from my wife Eve. So it's like sometimes I look back, like, am I a bad dad? How many times have I actually taken Grayson out just to go for a walk by herself? It's like I can count on my finger. So I feel like I have the tendency to resemble my dad in terms of not filling up his memory bank. But then I feel like with her encouragement and that kind of like, remember, try and do that, or try and like take my place on the swimming lesson, or try and do that. I feel like I wouldn't end up having the same type of parenting style as my dad. Yeah, no, I get that, 100%. Do
you feel like you're cool dads? Like, would you guys rate yourself as like, do you feel like your children look at you and think, you know, I got a cool dad, you know? Yeah, I think my daughter does, 100%. Yeah? Yeah, of course. Because I personally think that, and I used to think that a lot when my eldest is 14 now. Like when he was 8 or 9, I used to feel like sports day, I remember killing it. Like I won, like all the kids rushed to me. I felt amazing. Yeah, no, of course. The next year, tore my hamstring at sports day. It was the worst experience ever. Like, I don't think my son wanted to know at that point. Like, I went the year before winning, my son ran into me. The next year, I'm on the floor holding my hamstring. My son's looking around as if that's not his dad. Like, it was terrible. It was terrible. But what I found, is they said, there was another article. I tried to do a bit of research beforehand, I just found this quite funny. They said, here's a few things to know when you're either becoming your father or you're getting to that age where you're kind of like past it, so to speak, You start to fall asleep in the front room. Do you ever do that? That's normal. Yeah? That's normal now, yeah? That's normal. Yeah. Fall asleep in the front room. You have a chair that is your chair. No? You're not there yet? I've got a work chair. Yeah? But I don't think that part. No one can sit in that? No, the kids can swing around and that's calm, Okay. That's still calm. Anyone accused you of dad dancing yet? Not yet, you know. No? No, not yet. Still got the moves? Yeah, I'm still alright. Alright. Spending time in the shed? Nah. No? I ain't even got a shed, lucky. Alright. Make awful jokes that you only find funny? Yeah, kind of. There's been a few jokes that I've made, no one's got it. It's gone over their heads a bit.
So I had to kind of say it a different way and they got it. But
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm gonna hold my hands up to. Well, no, I feel like I know a few. Yeah, they don't know any artists in the top 40.
top 40?
Yeah,
You mean top 40, like current?
the music. Yeah, music.
Oh, no,
charts.
no.
I
Yeah,
feel
no,
I'm
my
current,
daughter's
man.
up
You
to
feel like
50.
you're current, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm current. Yeah.
All right. You spend longer on the toilet. That's a yes.
Kind
The
of,
way you
you know.
both kind of look.
Grooming. I'm taking my grooming more seriously these days. Yeah. Good man. Yeah.
No, but
You know what it is though? Like for me, I'll be honest. I will go into the toilet with my phone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like I'll sit on the toilet, be long done, but I'm just scrolling
Get
on my
that
phone.
the toilet thing.
Yeah,
But that's your place of peace.
the
You're
toilet.
saying.
I'm
When you
not
feel
gonna
like you can get away
Yeah,
from
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But even my partner does it. That's your place of peace. Because when she's in there, I'm not going in there, and the kid's not going in there. So even if she was in there for 10, 15 minutes, we're not going in there.
Yeah.
So,
Let her do
yeah.
what she's doing. All right, there's two more. Like you get excited about appliance sales.
Appliance.
Sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, not really appliance sales, but going into like, I can be in B&Q and walk around for about 2 hours.
Serious.
Yeah, not buy anything. Just be like, oh yeah, that looks sick. I like that. Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Have you always been like that though? Or do you feel like the last few years?
Probably the last few years maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting there. You're getting
on
there.
a bit.
Last one was you start to keep an eye on the thermostat.
No, that's not me.
No,
I'm right.
that's not me. I'm not there.
No, not yet.
No, all right. I feel like we've done all right there. So coming back now, how do you feel life has changed you as a father? How do you feel like your life has changed from when you remember no children to children?
For me, it's definitely made me like more of a calm person.
Okay, that's
Because
interesting.
even like before growing up, and this might even be related to like my dad not being at home. I was just an angry child. Not really an angry child, but I had a short fuse.
Okay.
So getting into trouble at school, or like fighting with my brother, stuff like that. And then as I've got older now, having kids, more calm, more patience, definitely. It's kind of just put a lot of stuff just into perspective.
Yeah.
100%.
What about yourself?
I think a bit more content.
Because yours is quite new as well.
Yeah,
So
it's quite. I would say content. Like I get solace from just bathing him. You know, like I used to probably say like I'm quite an overly ambitious person or set lots of goals, and I think now that I have my son, I feel like I'm more content and reserved as to what I want to achieve. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to work hard and get certain things, but I'm more about, okay, like, how can we have a good family unit? I think that's what I care about more. I see my friends less.
okay.
So I think for me, it's like my sphere of influence, or like what I care about a lot more is centered on like how is he doing? Like, am I looking into his education or his development? I'm obsessed with his development. You know.
Yeah. So changing priorities almost.
Yeah. I'll probably say that a lot. At the same time, more understanding.
Okay.
More understanding of, you know, sometimes when you think to yourself, like you look at people, maybe whether it's their parenting style or like how they do things, and you just never understand the context of why someone is doing that certain type of thing. So like I have more, like you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So like, who am I to say X or Y or Z? Because I now know that like, how people do certain things, whatever works for you, if that's what's working for you, do that, you know? So I feel like more understanding, contextual, patient, yes and no, because sometimes when I carry him and he's like, starts buzzing out, I'm thinking like, what's wrong with this guy, man? So I say patience half and half.
Just touching on that, do you feel like you was ready for kids when you had your child? Do you feel like the timing was right for you?
From an ambition point of view, like I said to myself, I want to have my first child before I turn 30.
Okay.
So like in kind of just saying it, like I thought, but when he came, I was not ready at all. Not ready. Like financially, like I was out of work for 6-7 months. Financially, not ready at all. With that as well, mentally wasn't ready. I don't think we were ready but I feel like having him was such a massive blessing.
Yeah. Like for me, I had my first child when I was 22. Wasn't planned. The relationship wasn't great at the time. It impacted me because it was like, this child's like my responsibility now. Do you know what I mean? It made me look at myself differently, but I was still quite immature. There was a lot of immature ways I had that I don't think really changed. When my second child came along, I was 28. That impacted me because to me, it was like, I have 2 children now. Like, I can't keep doing certain things. Like, to be honest, I didn't know how to cook. Like, my mum, love my mum to bits, but she never really taught me to cook. Do you know what I mean? It was a lot of maybe oven food, and it was single parent, so she was always in a rush maybe on the go. So to me, I got to 28 and I was like, I don't know how to cook. I need to start teaching myself, because what are these kids gonna learn from me? And that was my thing. Like, I didn't have a father around, so I had no one to learn from, right? These 2 boys are looking at me, but they're able to look at me, but what are they gonna learn from me? So I started changing the way I ate, like little things. I actually adopted more of a plant-based diet, started learning how to cook, got on top of my finances, got my first mortgage, loads of things, because I looked at it as like, no, this is serious now. I can't keep doing that. What's interesting about you is that obviously you've got 2 children, right? And you said that you became more calmer. Yeah. Was that instantly from your first child, or did you notice that there was actually a difference between how you became when you had your second child?
No, from my first child.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't even say it was like my daughter that kind of made me calm. I feel like obviously being with my partner kind of changed me.
Okay.
To be calm, and then obviously that brought me into like when we had kids. Then it was just like super calm.
Yeah.
Just that proper chill, because obviously with kids, you need a lot of patience. Like yourself, when you pick up your son, you just think, oh. But at the end of the day, you need to get on top of that. Do you know what I mean? So that's the part which just helped me to like be more calm, I'd say. So
you've got a son, right?
Yeah.
And I've got 2 boys. So you're the only one here with a daughter.
Yeah,
How different was that experience for you?
I mean, well, I wanted a girl first.
Yeah?
Yeah. I wanted a girl first. I don't know why, but I just wanted a little girl. Then I had her, and then it's just been the best. But it's not like I've not treated her. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I basically, now that I've got a son, I don't treat them any different really.
You don't feel you're more protective of your daughter?
I mean, I'm more. In terms of that, yeah. I'd say I'm more protective.
Why do you think that is?
I feel like because obviously she's my little girl, innit? Yeah. Even now, like if like my son will like bite her or something, that's still my little girl. But even though you're my son,
don't play.
Easy. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know.
Did you want a son? Did you actually? Let me throw that back. Did you both know what you was having before your children came?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you so you wanted to know? Because I didn't want to know. Both times that we never knew. Like, I just lacked, I don't know. Like, my first child, obviously, when I was 22, but we didn't know what we was having. And his mum was induced. But there was complications. So they literally rushed her out the room, and she had an emergency C-section. And like, that was like the longest probably hour or so. It felt like I was waiting for like 8 hours because no one could go in with her. So we're just in the room waiting, and then the nurse comes in and says, "Mum and baby are fine." So I'm like, thank God. And then they bring the baby round. The baby's covered up, towels wrapped around the child. I don't know if this is a boy or girl. So I'm undoing the towel, figuring out, am I gonna see a penis? Am I gonna see a vagina? I then see, I'm like, I got my son. Like, but I didn't know. I'm unwrapping, like pass the parcel, like unwrapping. What have I got? What have I got? What have I got? But my second child, again, we didn't know what we was having. But I wanted a girl. I was like, I got a boy now. I want a girl, but I'm blessed to have 2 boys. But I feel like there's something about, like you said, like daddy's little girl. Like,
Yeah, there is. I feel like not say that the love's different, because even like my son, like, he'll just
your
come
son
up.
will watch this one day, by the way.
Yeah, like my son, I love you. Obviously, he'll still come up to me, like hug me, kiss me, everything. But I don't know. I just feel, I don't know if it's because I've had more years with my daughter, where we've like shared like so many moments together. And it's weird because I feel like she still like remembers a lot of the moments, and that's maybe because a lot of the moments that we've had, they've been on repeat. Going to the parks on repeat.
Yeah.
Making juices together is on repeat.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, when did we do that? Oh yeah, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is our routine.
Yeah, so I think it's because maybe I've had those years with her that's maybe a bit stronger.
How important do you feel that routine is for your children in terms of maybe the things you do with them or even their mum does with them? How important, as routine as a whole, how important do you feel that routine is for children?
I think it's quite important. I think it sets the scene for their development and their interaction. So, for example, when Grayson was born, or just like in terms of having a routine, we lived with my wife's parents for like 3.5 months.
Okay.
On the basis of getting the routine of him interacting with people, getting used to like many faces, or I don't know, as versus how we're currently living now. It's like sometimes it can get quite monotonous sometimes, like which it's not a bad thing, but I think breaking things up and having kind of a structured routine versus something that's a bit flexible helps with the child's development. That's what I personally think anyway.
And in terms of the stuff you mentioned, like going to the park and the juices, how important do you feel like your children look forward to those things because they know it's consistent? Or?
Yeah, I feel, do you know what? It's funny you say that in terms of like look forward to it.
Yeah.
I feel like with them, that's their normal. Do you know what I mean? So if we're going home and there's a park there, why isn't Dad stopping to go to the park?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So obviously, yeah, they like sometimes they're not expecting it, and I'm like, oh, do you want to go to the park today, or do you want to go park? And they're still excited to go as if we don't go, but it's not something that like it's not like a surprise to them.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? That I'm giving them. Oh yeah, do you know what? Today we're gonna go to the park.
Yeah.
It's just oh yeah, come let's go to the park.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Looking back on, I know your journey's quite short so far, but looking back on your journey, what has been like a particular moment that's stuck in your mind from being a father?
As in
a memory that when I say to you, like, looking back on your fatherhood journey, is there a moment or an experience that will just pop into your head? Like a highlight of your journey so far?
With me, it's where I get like so many flashes, like, so it's not like I can point it on one, but I can, obviously, because we do a lot of stuff with, I do a lot of stuff with my partner.
Okay.
So it's like family days when we go on holiday. Actually, there's one that I enjoy a lot. So the other week before bed, like we play the game together.
Yeah.
And I think because a lot of people go on family holidays, they do this together, do that together. But before bed, do you like play a family game? Or, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Or do something like that. And I feel like instead of just sending your kids to bed, doing something like that, like a family-orientated thing together, I feel like it's beneficial to them. Because then you're sending them to bed with that, doing something family-orientated, instead of just, all right, dinner, bath, bed.
You know, I love that. Like, my current partner has 2 children, and she always like, kind of like read them. Like, it's kind of like story time, or there's some sort of routine. It's not just kind of go to bed. It's like this kind of like 20 minutes of like, I guess, personal quality time.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. But what about in terms of your short journey?
I think
Is there anything that jumps out?
Yeah, I think it's like the first night he was born. Like I didn't know like whether he's supposed to stay out for the whole night, and like what. So I thought like so I was giving like bodyguard vibes, you know, like so it's like I was just there, just like looking at him. I was just saying, this guy is so precious. And even like during then, like I was saying like, oh man, I can't fall asleep. I need to wake up. And then there was this early memory I had, like I bent down in his the cot thing they have in the hospital, and I would make this sound like, and he would repeat that, he would do that back to me.
Yeah.
And so it's like he obviously like he broke out of it, but that's like kind of our way of communicating each other.
Yeah.
So that's like the earliest like memory I always hold. Like I'll tell him like when you were first born, we had a certain way of communicating with each other. Because even the nurse would say like he's always like yeah. So that's my earliest memory.
Yeah.
I love that. For me, I was I remember I was in the hospital with my firstborn, and I think the nurse or someone said, because his mum was in bed because she'd have the C-section, the nurse was like, oh, someone needs to change his nappy. And I was like, oh, me, like everyone stand back, like, I got this. So I go over there and I take the nappy off, and there's green poo, and I freaked out. Because I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, my child's got green poo, and the nurse was like, no, it's normal, like, he's a newborn. I was like panic, because I'd never wiped a child's bottom before, so seeing green poo for the first time freaked me out. But they said that's normal. Yeah, that's normal, but there was no warning. So that's something that just always stands out when I think of that. We've touched on, obviously, the fatherhood journey and our personal experiences. Let's touch on the role of a father. You kind of touched on it earlier, but what do you feel like the role of a father is?
I mean, see this question, I hate this question, because for me, that question, the answer to that for me is like, just do what you're supposed to do. Because there's so many dads out there that just don't do the basic. Do you know what I mean? And I don't buy into the whole, my dad wasn't there, so I don't know what it's like to. That's rubbish to me.
I'm a prime example of that.
You know what I mean? But for me, for example, in my experience, the role of me being a father to my kids is to never let them down. So obviously keep my word, guide them, pray for them.
Love that.
Obviously, I'm still with their mum, so my role as a father is to keep the family together, and to do things with them that my dad never did, and to basically never let them feel the bad that I felt growing up from what my dad did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So even like the whole, like I don't shout at my kids.
Okay.
I don't give them little smacks on their hands or anything. Because stuff like that, obviously, I got beats, which I'm sure. You got beats?
I kind of got away with just my mum.
Oh, right,
my mum's
okay.
My mum's tiny as well. Like,
so you got to touch them.
That was the white side of my family as well.
Oh, right, okay. So you got nice, you got nice. So obviously most of us got beats. But yeah, growing up, even like having kids now, I'm thinking, wait, how can you hit your child and your child's crying and you're still hitting them? So for me, I still don't understand that to this day. And it's still a question that I still want to ask my dad. Why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? So that's something that I would never want to put on my child, for them to then grow up and have a question of, why did you hit us?
What was the need?
Yeah. So yeah.
The role, I think for me personally, apart from the fact that obviously he doesn't breastfeed anymore, apart from me not being able to, like during that stage, just being able to being able to do the things that my wife does for him. So whether it's read or is he hitting his developmental milestones, I think just being able to do the thing, because God forbid if anything happened to her, being able to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, feel the
and that's the way I see the role of a father, especially the point you made about being an active father, you know, because it's so easy to go through life and you can't really piece together, okay, like what have I done apart from that kind of stereotypical disciplinarian or et cetera, like I feel my role is just being able to kind of play the role my wife plays in his life.
I love that. You know, this is, I guess, showing my growth. Something I've learned over the years is that I feel like the role of a father actually starts before the child comes.
Yeah.
In how you treat the woman. Like, so if I could go back, I feel like my children's mum's pregnancies would have been a lot more comfortable for them, a lot more of an enjoyable experience. Because I feel like that's even a moment for you to bond with your child before your child comes out. Do you see what I mean? And to just enjoy that moment with your partner. Touching on three words that always stick out for me. I kind of got this from Steve Harvey, but I kind of twisted it. Is to me, the role of a father is to protect, provide, and prepare. Prepare your child for the real world. And I feel like a lot of people fail with that part, the preparation. Like, our job is to prepare them for real life. Sometimes we try and protect them so much that we're not actually preparing them for what happens when they then leave the nest. So that's something that has always kind of stuck with me. When I talk about providing as well, touching on what you said, I really want to come back to that now. Financially, right? So a lot of men that message me anyway on my page, there's some men that have lost their jobs and they stress that they can't financially provide now. And because they can't financially provide, they feel lesser as a father. Obviously, to me, I think it goes without saying it's important for a man to provide financially. But how much do you feel that impacts the type of father you two are if you was unable to provide financially, or if a financial nightmare occurred? Do you feel like it would affect your roles as fathers?
No. Being a provider financially, that doesn't make you a father. So, for example, in like your case, for example, if you're providing financially, and that's all you're doing, and you consider yourself as a father, then I can step in and be your child's father, because then I can provide financially. Do you know what I'm saying? But the difference is, if I, so you've gone to your child's first swimming lesson, but I'm just a provider. So you're doing that extra mile, and giving your son that extra, or giving yourself that extra memory, but being there for your child. But I'm just a provider. So I feel like doing the extras like that makes you more of a father than just being a provider. Because money is just money. Like you said with your experiences, your dad gave you money. What if your uncle gave you money? So he's doing the same thing that your dad's doing. So technically he could be a dad as well then, if that's just a label you want to put on it. Do you know what I mean? But it's the things that you do with your child that makes you the father.
How much do you think finances plays a role in fatherhood? Coming from a man that's obviously had experiences on the good and bad side of that.
I think, depending on the type of person you marry, will dictate how your perception towards how pivotal finances is in how you deem yourself of value in a relationship. I used to think that's what defined me, and that's where my main contribution is. But having that being removed from me, I realized I need to learn how to do other things well. So God forbid if something like that happens to me, I can still kind of and still feel like I'm of value to this relationship. So in my own scenario, I don't think it is pivotal, versus someone who's married someone who needs to be a provider. That's the reason why I married you. Maybe you're 10 years or 15 years older. You had X, Y, and Z. That's one of the reasons. That's the criteria I married you. So if you remove that, I'm not saying the relationship crumbles, but it's a big component part. So I don't know. I think it will vary from relationship to relationship. I feel in my circumstances now, it's not an issue. I feel like I add value in so many other parts of a relationship besides just bringing X amount of money every single month.
I really love that, and I think something you said is important. Like you said, like that your child's uncle could be their dad. Like for me, my youngest has a stepdad, and I know that stepdad provides financially and holds down the house and works with my child's mum really well, and I'm comfortable with that. But if I wasn't around, I know that finances will be taken care of. So knowing that, I guess there's another man looking after my son as well makes me more aware of what else I can do. Does that make sense? So kind of like making personal moments with my child. And I always say, because a lot of men that I speak to have a fear of men being around their children because it almost pushes them away. And I always say, as long as you do your role as a father, no one can ever take that position. Like you say, like that finances is one thing, but if you be the father, which is everything we spoke of today, no man can come in and take that. You've got that bond. But going back, I know if we look at men, 1970s, let's go back there, right? So a man's role was to leave the house, yeah? So men would leave the house, like get everything we need financially, come back. The woman would be in the house, right? Men knew their role, right? So as we now progress, women become more independent, which is amazing. They now begin to leave the house, right? Now women are able to do what men could do in the sense of they can go out now, get the money, provide. A lot of men are lost as to when the woman can provide, what is my role? And I notice a lot of men mentally that really affects them when they feel like they haven't got as much money as they used to. What is their role? I feel like, let's just touch on some of the things you feel is important outside of finances in the role of a father. What do you feel are key things that men that might not be in a great financial position could maybe double down on or really invest in terms of parenting at this moment in time?
I would say time, spending time, teaching your kids. Even like something that I do with my daughter, which sometimes she hates, is teaching her how to tell the time.
Okay.
She hates it, and for me, obviously I don't hit my kids, but so my form of smacking your child is you'll do star jumps. You know what I'm saying? So really and truly, it's just exercise. Really and truly. That's why she kind of hates learning how to tell the time or learning with me. Because she knows star jumps are coming if, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of my way of dealing with it.
I say just like certain life skills, you know, like knowing how to cook, knowing how to rapport with people, emotional intelligence, that point about teaching. I'm not good at this personally, but as a life skill example, I'm not good at DIY, but do they know their way around certain things, you know? Being street smart.
Okay.
You know, so I feel like there's so many, like, as much as finance is so important, there's so many other things you can do as a father that can build a child up in the world that we're currently living in right now. And in doing so, making it easier for the woman, you know, like, I'll go back to a piece of advice my wife's mother's sister told me, that you can't expect a woman to open her legs for you at night or whatever, and then after she's done the domestic work, she's cooked, she does this or whatever. So as a man, if you want to learn how to do those things, you know. So that's my advice for other guys.
Yeah.
I think touching on some stuff you said earlier, where you said about going to the park, that's free.
Free. Kids love free stuff. You give a kid a cardboard box and a game, they'll take the game out the cardboard box. Next week, they're playing with the box. Boxes are free. Kids love free stuff. Go to the park, it's free. Take them to the forest. They'll have so much fun in the forest, just walking around, looking at bugs, looking at this. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you take them to the arcade, they'll have their fun. Cool. All right, what's next? Do you know how much time you can spend in the park for free?
And wear them out as well.
And just get ice cream at the end of it. That's it. And you're the best dad ever. That's it.
You know what? I love that because I feel like when it comes to that Christmas and stuff like that, like the new PlayStation 5 or the new Xbox, and you're like, okay, the easy thing is to spend £500 and get your child that, and then just kind of like, hopefully that'll keep them quiet. But I just feel that for me personally, even when my kids are playing computer, they want me to come and play. They want that time with you. Yeah. And some of the best moments I've had with my children are playing like this game called Double. There's a game called Double. Just some simple like Jumanji board game and some simple basic games that were so cheap. Whereas PlayStation, they want someone to still play with. I think obviously you can play online and stuff like that now, but I feel like there's nothing better than that physical interaction with like your mum or your dad. So I think some of that stuff in value. What is your best, if there was one free thing, take away the part because you used it already, yeah? Give me one free thing that you love to do with your kids.
Okay, so you got to pay for the fruits, but make juice.
Okay.
Was that count or not really?
No, we can run with that.
Yeah, make juice.
Why that?
Because it teaches them obviously a way of making their own healthy juices and taking like a solid, making it into a liquid that tastes nice. So it's not a case of fruit shoot, and all of this stuff. They're actually taking like fruits, and it's a way of like learning as well. So yeah, I'll definitely say that, and it's something that they enjoy doing as well. And then at the end of it, they get to taste the product of what they've made.
And they sense that sense of achievement in it. Like,
even though you got to clean up the blender and all of that, just deal with that after. But it's all about that moment of putting it in there, watching them, watch it go around, and then the juice come out. It's a whole process. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'll say that.
I know your child's young, but is there anything that you've done or are looking forward to doing?
I think it's made like, my wife has bought you these toys, like whereby like it requires a lot of like interaction. So like he puts like balls in like these like cups or whatever. So trying to improve his spatial awareness or his developmental skills. So I enjoy, like, it's very simple. There's like this little box and it's got a hole in it, and I'm always like throwing the ball inside, and I do it over and over so he can repeat through repetition. It's very simple. I enjoy just doing that with him.
You keep saying, you said that it's very simple, but those simple things that you do with the kids are the best things. Instead of doing you plan a whole day out and it comes to like, it's so expensive. But then when you do the simple stuff, that's more intimate.
No,
that's what I found.
100%. My kids, for me, it's just football. It's just like, I used to love football as well, but like, to me, sometimes it's so long. But it's like, because they will kick the ball, like, they won't kick it to me. Like, so it's like, I'm running to get the ball. That's why it's long. They're terrible at football. But like, just being outside with my kids and seeing the enjoyment on their face. But I used to do this thing, because I was a personal trainer as well. So I had like those, the fitness cones, you'd have the red cones, yellow cones. So I'd do little things with them where I'd have like cones scattered and we'd do races, who can collect the most cones in a certain amount of time or whatever. And they would love that. And I feel like anything physical gets them excited, but then wears them out, calms them down. And I just love that. One more question, and then I think we'll wrap up. In terms of your children's mums, how important do you feel like it is for you as fathers to show, like, how important do you feel like your relationship with their mums are to them?
Very important. Very, 100%.
Very important to show him how much respect you must give a woman. They do so much. because everyone like glamorizes like pregnancy, and there are such things as high risk pregnancies, or like you said, like there's so much that goes on that people don't see. So it's like I've become even more mindful at how I may mouth off to my mum. Like there's so much they go through. To bring a child or a human being into this world. A man can't do that. So it's for me to always show that uttermost respect as my wife, but also like as a human being, like how you value and see other women. Yeah.
And just touching on when you said earlier about, do you see yourself becoming your dad?
Yeah.
So one thing which is just sparked it is that, so when I was younger, I used to see like my dad and mum dance a lot. So now I'll play like Lovers Rock, and then I'll just get my partner and we're dancing. Well, I'm dancing with her, she's not dancing back. But yeah, the kids like see us dancing, and to them that's a form of love that we're showing. It's not just a case of like we're to our jobs back home, dinner, and do you know what I'm saying? I'm bringing that love in the home, and I think that's very important to let kids know that there's love, because then that's their expectation of what love is. So when they grow up, like what I've seen now that I've grown up, that's what I'm showing, and it's just going to become a cycle. So do you understand that?
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
For me, like knowing that my child's stepdad and my child's mum love each other. Yeah. So like, I've got nothing but love for his mum, but we weren't great together in the sense of like seeing her now married. I see that he's been able to provide her with a level of happiness that I never would have. So I know that my child gets to see that live in the flesh, in person. So for me, my child's growing up in a household of love, but it's also important for me to show his mum respect and love so that he sees dad and mum are cool. Do you see what I mean? Whereas a lot of people, I feel like, I don't know, they can, in a co-parenting situation, you can have that animosity towards the mum, so on and so forth. But I still think it's important to just show that level of respect and that the child sees mum and dad as a team. Because I feel like what kids can often do, I guess even if you live with your children, kids can play parents off each other. I know if I go to dad for this, do you know what I mean? Dad will say yes, but if
that's
I go
what happens in my house as well.
And in co-parenting it's even more so, because I might not actually get to speak to his mum, but he might come to me and say, "Oh, your mum said it's fine." It's like, "Oh, I need to check." Do you see what I mean? But yeah, to me, being a team, I guess raising children full stop, there's that teamwork needed. Like, but I've loved this. I've absolutely loved this. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've enjoyed the process. We've got something special for you, but I'm gonna need reminding, boys, of the code. G-Pod1. Right, so if you go on the Goodman Factory website right now, you get a 20% discount off of these two amazing products. We've got beard oil and we've got this beard brush, and as you can see, all of us here are fully representing this.
I'm trying.
So G-Pod1 will get you 20% off. And guys, join us next time. Thank you again. We are out.
Pleasure.